Good morning, everybody. My name is Federico Morisio, professional windsurfer from Italy. Welcome to my channel, and especially welcome to this new video. Today, I'm gonna share with you a tutorial on how to tack on light wind conditions. First of all, let's make clear why tacking is so important and useful, especially in the waves discipline. Tacking permits you to turn really fast once you see a good wave in order to take it. And second, is key in waves because it permits you not to lose space. So instead of going downwind and jibing, you're actually going upwind, gaining space that you will then need and use for wave riding. So yes, it is a key move that I really suggest to have and to master once you're getting into the waves and you wanna keep improving your wave riding. So before going straight into the tacks technique, I want to share a few words about gear choice and setup. Obviously, the size of our board makes a big difference when tacking. This doesn't mean that we can tack on a small board, because if you get a good technique, you will be able to do so. But overall, I always suggest people to use in between 5 to 15 liters more than their weight when wave riding. It obviously depends on the conditions. If you're in Poses Izquierdo with 40 knots, you might get a smaller board. And if you're in super mega light conditions, you might get a bigger one. And if you love using small boards, or you're used to using small boards, or the conditions where you mostly sail require a small board, then speed is gonna be your best friend, because speed allows the board to have more stability. Now I wanna start with showing you a video of a light wind tack that I made a few days ago here in Chile during a sunset session. The wind was extremely light, so I will be able to show you step by step the process, the difficulties, and the tricks to make the move work. Here we go. This is the video from the other night. I will play it once at normal speed so that you can have an idea of what's going on and how light it was. Here I go upwind, I jump on the other side, lay on the rig, pump a little, and get back to normal position. Now we're gonna go through step by step the whole process. First thing I want you to know, and I want you to realize, it's how I am completely on top of the board, completely in balance, not too much on the back, not too much on the front, not too much on the side. So as I told you before, speed is our best friend for tacking. And even though here I had a really low speed, this speed, it still helps me to make the tack happen. So first thing, I want you to always be on top of your board and in complete balance before tacking, while tacking, and after tacking. So again, I'm completely in balance on my board. At this point, I start going upwind. Here it's pretty fast because I was already going upwind quite a bit. But here I go upwind by closing the backhand. I close the backhand to go a little more upwind, and then what I do is I put my front foot, I put my front foot in front of the mast base, while the back foot is in between the front and the back foot strap of the board. At this point, I close my sail with the backhand, I put my front foot in front of the mast base, I create a distance in between myself and the sail and the mast. You can see the distance that I created. At this point, there's the first step. The tack is divided into two steps. First step, I bring my back foot where the front foot is. So for even less than a second, both feet will be on the same place in the middle of the board, and that's why I want you to be completely on balance on top of the board. You see that I'm always straight, I'm always on top of the board, I'm never losing my balance. I bring my back foot where my front foot is, and I also start moving my hand, my backhand, so my backhand and my back foot move at the same time. I bring them both where the front foot and the front hand was, and then, so this is the first step. Second step is to bring what was my front foot to the back. Again, in between the front and the back foot strap. Same thing with my front hand, with the hand that once at the beginning was my front hand, I'm gonna bring it all the way to the back. And you see, as I'm laying on the sail, and this is possible because I'm completely imbalanced. You see how straight I am on top of the board, while my sail, my rig, it's out of the board in a way, and so I can lay on it. And this even helps me because when you lay on the sail, usually the wind is pushing on the other side, permitting you to, if you're a little out of balance, to gain balance again and finish the tack. At this point, because of the really light wind, I just had a few pumps, slow few pumps, in order to get some power and balance again and start positioning myself as I wanted to catch that wave that you see that is coming, but it was just too light and I couldn't even move and couldn't even catch it. A super light wind day. I'm a little closer, so maybe you can see it even better. I'm on a 4.6 and 78 liters, so I'm 73 kilos, so just like 5 liters more than my weight, making it even harder. But I want you to be careful and pay attention to the steps once again. Here I'm just going a little upwind. At this point I decided I'm going to tack, and you see that the first thing I do, I move my front hand from the boom to the mast. At this point I bring my front foot in front of the mast base, so here I'm putting the front foot on the mast, putting the sail on the back, which permits me to go upwind, moving the front foot in front of the mast base. And at this point, you see how I'm creating distance. Look here where the mast is, and look here how the mast is more distant from me, from my body. So at this point, I'm creating space for me to be able to go on the other side without having the rig in between. That's key. You see, I'm straight, I'm fully in balance, on top of my 78 liters. I'm creating that distance. At this point, I do the first step. First step is I bring my back foot where my front foot is. I move my back hand where my front hand is. And at this point, I go with the second step. Again, you see how I am completely on top of the board. My weight is not on the back. My weight is not too much on the front and not too much on the tail of the board. I'm completely in balance, and this permits me to stay balanced again. You see how the board goes underwater, but because all my weight is centered on the board, which is pretty much where you got the more liters, and so where it's easier to keep the balance, I stay on top of my board and I lay on my sail, which is able to give me some extra balance. And then I feel the power of the wind and I get back in position. Let's see at a normal speed once. It looks really fast just because I'm so used to it, and I've done so many, but going through the whole process step by step, it should be clear. Alright, now let's go back to the movement on land. I rigged my Severn S144 and my starboard hyper 83 liters to show you the exact movements, first of the foot and body weight on the board, and second of the hands and the overall rig movement during the tack. Let's start with the board. As I told you, I want you to keep your body weight and your foot as central and in balance as possible. So during the tack, at the beginning, we will have one foot here, the back foot here, and the front foot here. Okay. Then once we decide that we're gonna do the tack, I want you to keep the back foot here and move the front foot here. But check this out. Here, not here, not here. Because if we put it on the sides, the board is gonna lose stability and it's gonna make it harder to tack for us. So I want you to keep the foot always central, in the central part of the board, here and here. This is key. This is super important. In the second step, when we move the back foot from the back to the front, what happens is that both our foot, from being like this, they move in this direction. Once again, they stay central on the board. where there's the most liters and when the board is the most stable. So for even less than a second, we'll have both feet here. And then as you move on the other side, the front foot is gonna be in the center again, and the back foot is gonna go all the way here. I know you're tired of hearing it, but I'm gonna say it once again. I want the foot to be central. Not here, not here. Central, where we have the most liters and where the board is the most stable, and it stays the flatter as possible so that we are fully in balance. All right, now we're gonna talk about the movement of the upper part of the body and the rig. So let's say that I'm going like this, right? I'm just going easy. At this point, when I understand that I want to tack, I move the front hand on the mast, front foot in front of the mast base. I move the sail slightly on the back and close a little bit with the backhand. You know, each one can have its own style of going upwind, but this helps me. This way the board is gonna move upwind, move upwind, move upwind. Nose of the board is looking at the wind. Really important. Check this. You see my arm? My arm is not fully straight. It's not super close. It's in between. And this is the distance that I want to keep for the whole length of the tack. So this is the distance that is gonna permit me to go around the rig and get on the other side of the board without having the rig in between and putting me out of balance. So this is the distance that I want you to keep on the tack from you and the rig. As you see, I'm straight on top of the board, while the rig, it's out of the board so that it's not in the way and it's not bothering me. At this point, first step, one, you see that I keep maintaining the distance with the rig, so I'm completely straight and in balance. The rig is there, and then two. Again, I finish up with the rig in front of me, same distance, as you can see, the hand is still there. At this point, I put my hand on the boom, and as I showed you in the videos, I can lay on top of it, and it gives me extra balance and stability. Really, really important, the distance in between me and the rig. This is key, and I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you the most common mistakes that I see people doing. Without this distance, I see a lot of people like this. The rig is straight on top of the board, but we are outside of the board, we're not in balance, and so by doing this, we either go super close to the rig, which makes us unbalanced and we fall in the process, or what we do is we throw ourselves on the other side of the sail and just lay on the back, hoping for a 50 knots gust that can keep us up, but that's not a reliable solution. And yes, this is just bothering us. You know, the rig's so close, it's bothering us and it's making it way harder. That's why it's super important to keep this distance and maintain it throughout the whole duration of the tack. There we go. To me, this movement with the arm and this distance in between myself and the gear and the rig, it's really key, and it's one of the most important features in the tack. As you can see, you can practice this a lot on the beach. I do this exercise a lot with the participants in my coaching sessions and in my clinics. It's really important to visualize the movement, understand it, get the confidence of it, and then try it in the water. All right, this was my tutorial on how to tack in light winds, but pretty much in any condition. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and comment the video if it was useful, and subscribe to my channel so you won't lose and miss the next ones. Check out my Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok profiles for more daily news and daily action and, you know, tutorial and inspiration. And see you in the next video. Ciao, ciao.